Hi, this is Terry Bach, and welcome to Untapped Potential for Women Over 50 Mini Summit. For women over the age of 50, it's often a time of awakening, and we're kind of waking up and getting out of this fog that we've been in for much of our lives. And also, it's a time of realizing it's our time now. It's your time now. So maybe you've been really busy taking care of family. You know what their needs and wants are, but you don't really necessarily know what your needs and wants are. You might have been busy with your business or with a job, but you haven't really taken the time for you. So I have brought together some amazing experts who are going to talk about the topic of women over 50 and redesigning their lives on their terms. Each of our experts are going to be talking about this from their specific and unique point of view. And some of them are just going to be sharing their own experiences. So today I've invited Shelly Drymon as our expert. And Shelly has spent 26 years in the nonprofit sector, with 10 of those years in fund development, not fun. And she's raised millions of dollars, maybe it was fun, millions of dollars for social issues and girl leadership programs. At the age of 50, Shelly ran away from home after leaving an emotionally damaging marriage. While in Colorado, she created a deep self-awareness and began to truly understand how mindset can determine your path. So welcome, Shelly. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Terry.
You're I want to hear your story. I'm intrigued. So you ran away from home at 50. And when was the moment that you knew your life had to change?
Well, oh gosh, it's sort of a scary moment for me. I wasn't quite 50 yet. I was
Okay.
actually a few months shy of being 50, but it was in December of 2011, and I was
Okay.
going to work. It was a cold day. I was going to work. To a job I hated. I no longer wanted to be there,
Mm,
and I got caught by the train. There's these train tracks that would have a train go by the office, you see like every
right.
5 minutes. And that
Okay.
particular morning, I got caught by the train. I was the first one in line. Was hungover because back in the day, I drank a lot um, to be able to just forget and try to
Mm-hmm.
move past what was happening to me. I had previously left, probably a year and a half before that, had left an emotionally abusive marriage, and it was still
Okay.
mired down in drama and self-pity and all that stuff. So anyway, I was hungover, the train
Okay.
track, and I was just listening to the train, the wheels, and all I could hear was clickety clackety clickety clackety clickety clackety, and just it was driving me crazy. And I'd already dealt with drama because back then, and I'm really embarrassed to say this, Terry, but it's part of my
Okay.
story, so
All
I'll go ahead
right.
and tell it.
We all
Was
have
that
those moments.
Yeah, was we do, but I had already had drama that morning because I had been drunk texting my ex-husband and his girlfriends the night before.
Okay.
So that's just to give you a little piece of where I was back then.
Exactly.
And I think about that, Terry, and I'm like, who was that woman? Who was that
Right.
woman? You
Right.
know. So anyway, all this was going on. I was hungover. I was sick. I was going to a job I didn't want to go to. I'd already been mired down in drama for the day. And I thought to myself, if I just hit the gas and run into that train,
Mm,
something will happen. Something will happen. I will seriously hurt myself, or end my life, or
right.
whatever. It's not funny, but it's I thought to myself while I was thinking this, like, well, I'll just show him. I'll just show him. I'll just, hurt myself.
Right.
But I I gathered my senses because I have 3 kids and 6 grandkids, and they were literally the people
Oh,
that I thought about at that moment. Like, oh
sure.
my gosh, why would Anja do that? That's what my grandkids call me, Anja. Why would Anja do that?
Yeah,
And to me, that would have been more devastating than anything. You know.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so I obviously didn't run into the train. What I did though was I went to my office. I went to the human resource department and I quit my job that day. I
Wow.
gave them 6 weeks notice and I quit my job.
Good for you.
So, and I went into my office. I put my feet up on the desk and I just felt like a weight had lifted off my shoulders.
I
Like I
bet.
had just created this enormous space for myself.
Good for
And
you.
yeah, and so I had a friend who lived out in Colorado and has always told she knew about my situation. She's always like, "Come live with me. You can live in the basement. We got this big full basement and a bedroom and a bathroom and a living space and all that."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did. I
Okay.
quit my job. I had no money, no money, um, and I didn't have a job out there. I knew one person, and I packed what I needed in my car and I went to Colorado
Wow.
for 8 months. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what led you to, I mean, was there something that happened in Colorado? You said you were there for 8 months. Did you leave
Mhm.
Colorado there? So was there a time?
I well, yeah, I went from I lived in Missouri and I went from Missouri to Colorado. I had been in Colorado every year for 12 years. I've always gone out there in the summertime. I loved it. It was
Okay.
beautiful. Um, and I just felt it was an opportunity um, to go somewhere where no one knew me but that one person. And
Exactly.
I could
Yeah,
just start over in a sense and people wouldn't know my story. They wouldn't know,
exactly.
all that stuff. So I could just like my son had told me, he goes, "Mom, I think that's great. Now you can be whoever you want to be." You
Exactly.
know?
Re-identify yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
Okay.
that's, um, it's beautiful. And I knew one person out there, and I just at the moment, I don't know if I really thought of why Colorado, but I was just like, I've got to get the heck out of Dodge. I've got to get the heck
Exactly.
out of
Yeah.
Dodge.
Sometimes you do
Yeah,
have to just get away to get a different
yeah,
perspective. Right.
yeah, yeah.
So did anything happen in Colorado that
Yes,
turned your
it did.
life around? Okay.
It did. It did. Um, oh gosh, so many things. Um, the first thing that happened was um, I it was just like a light switch, like I got out there and all of a sudden I just turned off the drama. I just felt like
Wow.
getting that space between me and him and all the crap that was going on because he's
Sure.
very narcissistic, just would not let me go, and of course I would just get sucked right back into that situation. um,
Right.
but Colorado is so quiet and so peaceful. I would go hiking. I was terribly overweight, terribly out of shape, and I would huff and puff, my way around the trail. Um, but I was able to go out there. I would go out for hours at a time, and I was able to think. Basically,
Right.
I just created the space, like I said, and I was able to think. And I had some real honest conversations with myself, which was tough.
Yeah.
But I just created this self awareness about what I was doing and eventually led to understanding how my emotions, my habits, my thoughts were just feeding the cycle
Right.
of unhappiness and all these other horrible things I was literally doing to myself.
Right.
um, and then again, no one knew me out there, so I didn't have to tell that story over and over again, about my crappy abusive ex-husband. you
And
know
sometimes it's
and
hard to change when you're around people because they're used to you the way you are. So it's really hard to change us
exactly.
sometimes in that same environment. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I would find myself, in Missouri, my conversations would quickly erode into complaining. But out in Colorado, since no one knew me, my story could be, you know, like I went hiking and I did this and I did that, and
Exactly. Yeah.
be able to have different types of conversations. And another important thing I did was I quit drinking. So,
For you. Yeah.
there's a saying I did something a while back. There's no self-awareness in a bottle of Chardonnay. So,
True. Very true.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that I think that was able once I got that clarity from not that drinking's bad, glass of wine,
No,
don't
no,
send us
no,
emails, drinking's not, uh,
no. But
but
if
for
you're
me,
doing it to hide or to find yourself
exactly,
work, yeah.
exactly. So, but yeah, and when I talk to people, they're like, well, that sounds so simple, but it really isn't, because one of my aha moments where I literally like broke down when I was running was I said to myself, you have to take responsibility for your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your ex-husband's fault. It's not your family's fault. It's not your job's fault. You have to take responsibility and take control of your life. And I will tell you, that's a hard thing to do, because when
It
you do
is.
that, Terry,
Mhm.
you can't blame, you can't be like, well,
I know, it's so much
my
more fun to
ex-husband, or
blame
well,
everybody
my,
else.
exactly. You have to
Right.
say, well, Shelly, you know, so it's super, super tough, and I get it. And even though that was, gosh, that's been, let's see, I'm almost 59. That's been, almost 10 years ago. And I'm
Right.
still learning about myself and being able you know, to move forward. So basically,
Wow.
that's my story, Terry.
But that's an important one, and I know a lot of our listeners will relate to it because, we all go through different degrees of
Hmm.
waking up where it's like, I don't want to keep doing what I've been doing. I can't
Yeah.
keep doing what I've been doing, and it may not be
Hmm.
as elaborate as yours, but we all have these kind of waking up moments at some point, and I mean, walking is a great way to get the endorphins going in your
Hmm.
brain, which causes you to
Hmm.
start thinking in a different way. Writing for a lot
Hmm.
of people works,
Hmm.
so I think that's a
Yeah.
great story for people to hear. That's
I don't ever advocate people running away from home with no money and no job and no resources. But I was glad I did that. I was
Mhm.
really glad that I was able that I had the opportunity to do that. And like you said, you could do that um, at any point with other mediums, like writing, or deciding to do an exercise
Exactly.
program or something like that. Yeah.
Right, right. And I think, for some people, running away is running away and you're not dealing with the issue. But I think for you, you were
Hmm.
running to something
Hmm.
was going to be a lot more fun
Well, I
for
had
you.
yeah, I kind of talk about how I've run away my entire life. It's sort of my coping
Mm,
mechanism. Like I tell
okay.
people when I'm stressed out, I'll take a nap. So
Right.
that's running away. Like I've been running away my
Sure.
entire life. But if you're going to make such a drastic, or like you said, elaborate, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Change.
Okay.
Um, do something with it. Take that time
Exactly.
to do something with it. So.
So what are you doing with it?
Well, well, I have to say, I what I'm doing with it is more personal. Now, I do
Okay.
lead a group of women. I have a Facebook group. I
Mhm.
have a podcast. I do some writing.
You have
Um,
a very active
I've just become a
Facebook group.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I took some training. I'm a certified mindset coach, so I'm going to be doing some things with that. But I think the biggest thing that it's done for me is it's allowed me to create a life that I love, that
Mhm.
I enjoy every day. It's allowed me to say, this is what I have chosen to have in my life right now. once I got, start taking responsibility and got, through all the muck and mire in my head, like I'm in a long-term relationship now with just the best guy ever because I've made some decisions.
Right.
Being able to go in, be self-aware, and understand how your emotions and your thoughts and everything impacts your day-to-day life is really key to being able to make better, good decisions that's going to serve you.
You also
So
got
now
to
I'm in a really
know,
healthy relationship. And
good. You
go
also
ahead.
got to know you and who you are and what
Mhm.
you wanted and what you needed before you got into a relationship, which I think is a really key point.
Well, yeah, and I'm still working on that.
Of course, we all
Yeah.
are still working on things. I mean, we're never done. It's
I
always a
wake up and I'm like,
journey.
who are you today? Who are you? And I
Yes,
like that. I don't feel we have to know the answer every single day
absolutely
because
not.
life is
Yeah,
a journey, as you said. We're
exactly.
always changing. And I'll soon be 60, so who knows? Who knows who I'll be then, right?
Maybe you'll be entirely different in your 60s. Yeah,
That's true.
that's the cool part.
Yeah.
We get to reinvent ourselves as often as we want. But don't,
Um,
I think my thing is don't ignore that piece. Don't just keep going
mhm,
along unhappy with your life. I mean, if you're happy in your life,
mhm.
fine. You don't need to make changes. But if you're not really doing the stuff you want to be doing, or you're not really the person you want to be, now's the time to change that.
It is, and I had Steve and I had a conversation when we first met. We told each other if we're ever unhappy, it's over. We're, if we can't figure it out, we're done
Right.
because um, we have spent and one of the things when I talk about the train tracks and women on my podcast, it seems like that was their go-to every day. They would wake up and think, I just probably should end my life. And to me, that was the saddest thing
Mm,
ever because it was like it was the default for some of us. Like, I don't know what else to
right.
do. And I don't think that we necessarily want to go that drastic. I think we're just trying to find a way to get rid of the pain
Exactly.
that we're
Yeah. And
feeling.
I mean, as
And you don't, well, yeah, and you don't have to be in an emotionally abusive relationship to be in pain. It's just that I think women
absolutely
over
not.
50 in particular, like you talked about before, it's just all these years of I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm an employee, I'm I'm everybody but Shelly, and I think for a
Exactly.
lot of women it
Yes.
just causes a lot of pain for us. So and that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I decided to start the group and the podcast was because I wanted to get women's stories out there of transformation, basically.
Right. That's great. You're doing great work.
Oh,
Helping
thank you. Thank
women.
you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be coaching one-on-one to be doing great work helping women. Your podcast, your Facebook
Yeah,
group. I've been in your Facebook group. It's very active, and women are getting a lot out of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to tell our listeners?
I just I'm just so passionate about women changing their lives, especially women over 50. I think we have amazing stories. We have an amazing voice that it would be a shame at this age
Hmm.
to hide it, you know.
Exactly.
And I also want to say that, um, when I tell my story, I always want to do the caveat of it was not easy. And I'm not saying that to be a downer or anything,
No.
but I just want you to realize that it takes time to make changes in your life.
Yeah.
Um, but once you do that, it's like this roller coaster thing.
Mhm.
But you have to start. You have to start somewhere, even if it's just something super, super simple to take action on. Um,
And you do it step by step.
one of the
You
things I
don't, I talked
yes.
about this too with somebody else. And, it's sometimes we don't make these changes because we think we have to go from 0 to 60 and, in the next month. And really it's about taking,
Exactly.
that first
Yeah.
step. And then
Yeah.
maybe you'll go over here. Maybe it's not a straight path.
Uh-huh.
You're going to do a zigzag
Yeah.
sometimes to get there. And sometimes you don't even know where there is. And that's okay. Just take a step.
Yeah. It's I always use the analogy. I ran a half marathon once and people were shocked by that. And I said, yeah, I woke up one Saturday morning and thought, hey, I'm going to run 13.1 miles. They're like, really? And I'm like, no, not really. It's a step-by-step process that you have
Right.
to take. So,
Yes.
oh shoot, I was going to say something and it totally slipped my mind. But yeah, it is. It's not a. It's my friend Leanne says it's a tweet, not a book. You take one thing at a time.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to say if I
Okay.
could real quickly. It's
Sure.
that one of the things I encourage women to be along their journey is I do talk a lot about goal setting and habit forming stuff, but really think about who do you want to be? I want to be the woman who
Yes.
runs 3 days a week. I want to be the woman who meal preps so she can be healthy. I want to be the woman who, like who do you want to be? And I think that's a really really good place to start for some women. Just think about who do you want to be
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
instead of I'm going to lose 50 pounds in a year.
Right.
Who's
That
who is
sounds
that
hard.
woman? Who is that woman?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it is hard because I've done it. But who is that woman as opposed to just setting these number goals? Because I just think that that's going to
Mm.
get you a lot further. And I know it's funny coming from someone who does goal setting workshops, but it's
But
one of the
that
things
is
that
a
I
goal.
talk
That
about.
is a goal. Yeah. And sometimes
Hmm.
you have to start with
Yeah,
that before you can put a little bit more measurable things in place.
exactly.
Yeah. So, Shelly, would you tell us about the free gift that you have for our listeners?
I would love to. So I put together I think it's 1 or 2 videos on talking about, I call it goal setting, but it's really how to attain your goals, because I think we know how to set a goal. We know how to write a goal. I will do this by this date. The problem comes when we don't know how to go about attaining it. So in this, there's a couple of videos where I give my thoughts, and then I do some worksheets, and I also talk about habits. You know,
Right.
getting into your habits to help you attain your goals actually. And then there's also a few worksheets on not just setting a goal, but your personal development plan. Like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are some obstacles? Who can I go to? Just a whole plan when you're looking at one goal,
Wow.
so gives you a full picture of helping you actually attain that goal. So,
That sounds fabulous because a lot of times we do need resources, to get to the goal. We can't do it on our own at times. Yeah. That sounds
right.
fabulous. So for the listeners, you just need to click on the button below this video and it'll take you right to Shelly's free gift. Shelly, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And I love your story. I know it wasn't an easy one, but
Oh,
it
thank you, Terry.
certainly I don't even want to use the word successful. It was I don't even know what to call it, but it's inspiring is what it is. It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
and for our listeners, I want to thank you for participating in the Untapped Potential for Women Over 50 mini summit. And I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll talk soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.